Welcome to IELTS Listening Practice, where your journey to a higher score begins. If you can dream it, you can do it. Let's climb higher together.
Hi everyone, welcome back to our IELTS Listening Practice series. In today's video, we'll be working on part 3 of the listening test, questions 21 to 30. You'll hear a conversation between two students discussing their university projects. To begin with, we'll focus on answering the first 4 questions, from 21 to 24. Please listen carefully and choose the correct answers. Let's get started.
I haven't seen you for a bit, Marie.
No, I've been busy with my project.
You're making a vegan alternative to eggs, aren't you? Something that doesn't use animal products?
Yes, I'm using chickpeas. I had 2 main aims when I first started looking for an alternative to eggs, but actually I found chickpeas have got more advantages.
Right.
But how about your project on reusing waste food? You were looking at bread, weren't you?
Yes. It's been hard work, but I've enjoyed it. The basic process was quite straightforward. Breaking the stale bread down to a paste, then reforming it.
But you were using 3D printing, weren't you, to make the paste into biscuits?
Yeah, I'd used that before. But in this project, I had time to play around with different patterns for the biscuits and finding how I could add fruit and vegetables to make them a more appetizing color. And I was really pleased with what I managed to produce.
It must have been a great feeling to make something appetizing out of bits of old bread that would have been thrown away otherwise.
It was. And I'm hoping that some of the restaurants in town will be interested in the biscuits. I'm going to send them some samples.
I came across something on the internet yesterday that might interest you. It was a company that's developed touch-sensitive sensors for food labels. It's a special sort of label on the food package. When the label's smooth, the food is fresh. And then when you can feel bumps on the label, that means the food's gone bad. It started off as a project to help visually impaired people know whether food was fit to eat or not.
Interesting. So just solid food?
No, things like milk and juice as well. But actually, I thought it might be really good for drug storage in hospitals and pharmacies.
Right. And coming back to food, maybe it'd be possible to use it for other things besides freshness, like how many kilograms a joint of meat is, for example.
Yes, there's all sorts of possibilities. It's
Questions 21 and 22. Choose 2 letters, A through E. Which 2 things did Colin find most satisfying about his bread reuse project? A. Receiving support from local restaurants. B. Finding a good way to prevent waste. C. Overcoming problems in a basic process. D. Experimenting with designs and colors. E. Learning how to apply 3D printing. In the conversation, Colin talks about his project of reusing old bread. Let's look at what he says and figure out the correct answers. He says, I had time to play around with different patterns for the biscuits and finding how I could add fruit and vegetables to make them a more appetizing color, and I was really pleased with what I managed to produce. This clearly shows that he enjoyed experimenting with designs and colors and was satisfied with the outcome, so option D is correct. Then, Marie says, it must have been a great feeling to make something appetizing out of bits of old bread that would have been thrown away otherwise. Colin responds, it was. This shows that he felt good about reducing food waste. So option B, finding a good way to prevent waste, is also correct. So correct answers B and D.
Questions 23 and 24.
Choose 2 letters, A to E. Which 2 ways do the students agree that touch-sensitive sensors for food labels could be developed in future? A, for use on medical products. B, to show that food is no longer fit to eat. C, for use with drinks as well as foods. D, to provide applications for blind people. E, to indicate the weight of certain foods. Answer A, for use on medical products. Marie says, but actually, I thought it might be really good for drug storage in hospitals and pharmacies. This shows she's suggesting a future application of the sensors for medical products. Colin doesn't disagree. In fact, he responds with right, which indicates agreement. So we can count this as a shared idea. Answer E, to indicate the weight of certain foods. Colin says, right. And coming back to food, maybe it'd be possible to use it for other things besides freshness, like how many kilograms a joint of meat is, for example. Marie immediately responds, yes, there's all sorts of possibilities. This shows they both support the idea of using the sensors to indicate weight, which makes E the second correct answer.
Let's continue with questions 25 to 30. In this part, you will hear two students discussing several food trends. Based on their conversation, choose the correct opinion for each food trend from the list provided. There are more options than questions, so choose carefully and use each letter only once. I was reading an article about food trends predicting how eating habits might change in the next few years.
Oh, things like more focus on local products. That seems so obvious, but the shops are still full of imported foods.
Yes, they need to be more proactive to address that.
And somehow motivate consumers to change, yes.
One thing everyone's aware of is the need for a reduction in unnecessary packaging. But just about everything you buy in supermarkets is still covered in plastic. The government needs to do something about it.
Absolutely. It's got to change.
Do you think there'll be more interest in gluten and lactose-free food?
For people with allergies or food intolerances? I don't know. Lots of people I know have been buying that type of food for years now.
Yes, even if they haven't been diagnosed with an allergy.
That's right. One thing I've noticed is the number of branded products related to celebrity chefs. People watch them cooking on TV and then buy things like spice mixes or frozen foods with the chef's name on. I bought something like that once, but I won't again.
Yeah, I bought a ready-made spice mix for chicken, which was supposed to be used by a chef I'd seen on television. And it didn't actually taste of anything.
Did the article mention ghost kitchens used to produce takeaway food?
No, what are they?
Well, they might have the name of a restaurant, but actually they're a cooking facility just for delivery meals. The public don't ever go there. But people aren't aware of that. It's all kept very quiet.
So people don't realize the food's not actually from the restaurant?
Right.
Did you know more and more people are using all sorts of different mushrooms now to treat different health concerns? Things like heart problems?
They might be taking a big risk there.
Yes, it's hard to know which varieties are safe to eat. Anyway, maybe now...
25. Use of local products.
In the audio, Marie brings up the topic of using local products and says,
Oh, things like more focus on local products? That seems so obvious, but the shops are still full of imported foods.
Here, she clearly recognizes the benefits of local products, but also criticizes retailers for still stocking mostly imported ones. Then Colin agrees, saying,
Yes, they need to be more proactive to address that.
This confirms that both students believe retailers should take more initiative in promoting local products. Finally, Marie adds, and somehow motivate consumers to change, yes. This shows they think encouragement from shops is key, not just expecting people to change on their own. Therefore, the correct answer is D. Retailers should do more to encourage this.
26. Reduction in unnecessary packaging. Colin says, one thing everyone's aware of is the need for a reduction in unnecessary packaging, but just about everything you buy in supermarkets is still covered in plastic. In the recording, Colin points out a problem. Although people are aware that we need to reduce unnecessary packaging, products in supermarkets are still mostly wrapped in plastic. That's why he says the government needs to do something about it. because he thinks rules or laws, regulations, are needed to fix the issue. So the best answer is G. There should be stricter regulations about this. Question 27, gluten-free and lactose-free food. In the recording, Marie says, lots of people I know have been buying that type of food for years now. This shows that gluten-free and lactose-free products are already popular among consumers. It's not a new or emerging trend. It's something that many people have been following for a while. Colin agrees and adds, yes, even if they haven't been diagnosed with an allergy. This further emphasizes that these products are widely used, not only by those with medical reasons, but also by people without any diagnosed condition, indicating that it's a widespread practice. Therefore, the correct opinion is C. This already seems to be widespread.
Question 28. Use of branded products related to celebrity chefs. Answer B. This may have disappointing results. Both Marie and Colin share their negative personal experiences with branded products linked to celebrity chefs. Marie says, I bought something like that once, but I won't again, which shows that she was disappointed by the product. Colin's experience was also negative. Yeah, I bought a ready-made spice mix for chicken which was supposed to be used by a chef I'd seen on television, and it didn't actually taste of anything. This shows that even though the product was promoted by a famous chef, the actual result was underwhelming. Together, these comments suggest that although these products are popular, their actual quality may not meet expectations. The students are expressing disappointment, which matches perfectly with option B.
Question 29. Development of ghost kitchens for takeaway food.
In this part of the dialogue, Marie and Colin talk about the lack of awareness around ghost kitchens. Marie says, well, they might have the name of a restaurant, but actually they're a cooking facility just for delivery meals. The public don't ever go there. But people aren't aware of that. It's all kept very quiet. And Colin replies, so people don't realize the food's not actually from the restaurant? These lines show that many people don't know the truth about where their food is coming from. They think it's from an actual restaurant, but it's really from a hidden delivery kitchen. So the focus here is on lack of public awareness. That's why the answer F, most people know little about this, is also a strong match. 30. Use of mushrooms for common health concerns. In question 30, Colin mentions that more and more people are using mushrooms to treat common health concerns such as heart problems. Quote, did you know more and more people are using all sorts of different mushrooms now to treat different health concerns? Things like heart problems? Then Marie responds, they might be taking a big risk there. And Colin agrees, adding, yes, it's hard to know which varieties are safe to eat. So the correct answer is H. This could be dangerous because both speakers express concern about the risks of using mushrooms for health without proper knowledge. Now that we've reviewed the answers and explained them in detail, it's time to focus on vocabulary that you can learn and remember. Vegan, alternative, chickpea, reusing waste food, straightforward, stale bread, paste, reform, throw something away, come across, est, touch sensitive, sensors, label, bumps, visually impaired, solid food, drugstore, pharmacy, joint of meat. All sorts of possibilities. Proactive, address, somehow. Gluten-free, lactose-free, allergy, food intolerance. Diagnose, ghost kitchen. Taking a big risk. Well done! That's the end of Part 3 from IELTS Listening Test 1, Cambridge 19. Stay consistent and you'll definitely see progress. If you enjoyed this practice, feel to like, subscribe, and follow along for more IELTS listening videos. See you in part 4. Let's keep learning together.